Hello, hello, and hello. It's Bernie here from Melbourne in Australia. I'm part of the Card Creators Plus design team, and today we are making a bay window card. Now, if at any time I refer to it as a bow window, which I have been known to do, just ignore me. It is a bay window card. So the finished card measures 5.5 by 5.5. It folds flat. So this one is, I'm calling it more of a feminine type of paper. So it's just got a flower on the front with some background paper. And it actually, when it opens up, that part stops under there and we end up with it looking like a bay window. So that's what the card looks like as it's displayed. And this one just says happy birthday. I've also created one which has got more, could be more masculine type paper. It's an owl wearing a suit and looking very stern. And in the background, it's got some cogs and wheels on the paper. If you can hear my dog in the background, someone's walking past and he thinks for some reason he needs to protect us. So sorry about the dog barking. So this one, the same again, goes under there and then it just says, happy birthday, oh wise one. Again, it stands up and there you can see the bay window. And then inside it's just got a sentiment that says, another year of being totally awesome. Now the pink one, I hadn't put a sentiment inside yet. I wasn't sure what I was going to write. So again, folds flat, 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So that's our two cards. So today's card, I am actually making using a frog. So this is a frog. My granddaughter asked me to make one with a frog. So I've got a frog holding a cane with some daisies on a lily pad. There we go. So that's what this one's all about. I might just see if I can get the light a bit better in here. I'm not quite sure why it's, yep, there we go. So there's our frog that's going to go on the front of our card. So where this one's got the owl, we're putting our frog on here. So I've got a couple of frogs because I'm going to build it up. To make the card base, we need a piece of card that is 11 inches by 5.5. Okay, so I'm using just it's a cream coloured cardstock, and I need to measure, score at 3/4 of an inch, 2 inches, 3.5 inches, 4 3/4 inches, and 5.5. So that's the middle of our card there. So that's all the scoring that we need to do. So I'll just pop my scoreboard away. We also need for our card, now on the back one of this one, I've had some paper that had some cogs and wheels. So as you look at it, it's one piece of paper then cut up. So this one, I'm going to use a piece of paper that's 6 by 6. So it's just a 6 by 6 inch piece of paper. And then I need to cut it down. So this will be the scene behind my frog. So it's just some daisies and lily pads. So working from the left, we need to cut in 1/2 inch, then 1 inch, a 1 inch piece, not 1 inch from the edge. So 1/2 inch piece, a 1 inch piece, 1 1/4, 1, 1/2, and 1 1/4. So you'll end up with a little bit of paper left over. If you want to start from the right of your page, you just need to work backwards. And then it'll also be at 5 1/4 inches. Okay, so I've only got the lines there just to so I could show you what I was actually saying. So just to go over it again, you need a 1/2 inch piece, a 1 inch piece, 1 1/4, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1 1/4. And then if you've got that, I just print out two. So I've actually got a template I can follow when I'm actually putting my card together, so I don't end up putting them in the wrong order. Now, if you were just using a normal piece of pattern paper, that didn't matter. This, you could then actually cut 2 1/2 inches, 2 1 inches, and 2 1 1/4. But because I want the scene to flow, you have to have it in that particular order. Okay, so there's that piece. So we also need, I've used the same cardstock because it was easier. I wanted it to be the same. So this cardstock is 3 inches. This one is 3 1/8 by 5 1/4. So that's our inside sentiment. I'll have a piece of paper that I'll provide all the measurements. Again, I've used the same cardstock as my base. This one is 3 inches by 4 inches. Now on here I've actually printed my frog, and then these frogs, after I've finished, will get layered on top just to give it some dimension and some height to the card. I've also put my sentiment on it, and it says "You're unforgettable." So there's that. And this bit, which I call the offset piece, so this is the bit that holds the bay window open. So this one is 1 3/4 by 1 5/8. Okay, so again, I'll have all those measurements written down. I have mats. Now I'm using black for my mats. So I will put these, I'll put my coloured pieces on top of my mats. So I have one mat that measures 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. So that's one. Now these aren't, this is for the front of my card, which will have another piece in between. So this mat is called, it measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. We also have our offset piece, which is 2 by 1 7/8. And then we need our mats for all our layers of our pictures. Okay, so some I've already put together. So these mats we need 2 of each. So we need 2 at 5/8 by 5 3/8. So there's 2. So we need 2 that are 1 1/8 and 5 3/8. So 1 1/8 and 5 3/8. And then we need 2 more that are 1 3/8 and 5 3/8. So 1 3/8 by 5 3/8. Now that's, and also we need 2 alternate layers. Now I've chose to print and cut these because I wanted all my colors to coordinate. So I used this as my background and used the eyedropper to get the same color for 2 pieces that I need. And so you can see I've just picked up the color from there. So these alternate mats are, this one is 3 1/8 that way, and 4 1/8, and this one is 1 7/8 by 1 3/4. Now that's all my cutting and layers and mats. Now just a tip that you need, because I've printed and cut this at home, I've used the cream cardstock, and you can actually see just a tiny fraction where my printer hasn't actually gone right to the edge. So I have a alcohol marker. I've tried to find one that's a similar color, and what I do is I just get my alcohol marker and I just run it round the edge, and it just makes it a little bit better. So all of these ones I've actually done and glued them on. So I just wanted to show you how it would go. Oops, no, that's for that one. Same as this one, I've already done it. So I've just gone around the edge and coloured it. I have done the same with my frogs. So I've actually gone around the edge of my frogs with the same colour marker, and that'll help them pop off the page. So that's just how, so you can't actually see now that it's a piece of cream cardstock, can on the back, but not on the front. And this one here is the same again. So again, I printed this on my home printer. So I'm going to just go along the edge, and you can actually see just by one edge how it just makes it pop up. If you don't have alcohol markers, this paper isn't, ideal for alcohol markers, so it does bleed a little bit. It doesn't bother me. If you've just got a normal marker, it's just sometimes in the alcohol marker range, I find ones that are actually closer to the colour that I'm looking for. So I've got all my layers there. I'm going to just glue this one on. I'll just move that out of the way. I'll just glue this one on. I'm just using a craft glue with a fine tip needle nib, and I'm just, oops, went off the page, just going down there and putting it onto its appropriate mat. Okay, so now this is when my template piece comes in handy, because I need to make sure that I've got my page in the right order. So I know that's the small one. I think it's this one. Let's just move that up a bit, and then is that our next one? Yep. And not that one, this one. Okay, so there's our picture. I may have cut it in a different spot when I cut these ones out. So I just use this to make sure that I've got it lined up, and you can see the background now is in the right order. Had I cut them out, not following the pattern, it could end up looking like this and very jumbled, like it doesn't actually flow now. So it's up to you whether you choose to or not. I just wanted a scene that looks, even though I'm covering it over with the front of the card, I still wanted to have it look like a scene. All right, so then I'm going to glue these pieces on. So I'll just move those over to the side. I'm going to glue these pieces on. So, and then it's really just assembling the card. There's not a lot to it. So again, up. Now I have made measurements that it's just got 1/16 around. If you choose to, you want a bigger border. I like the 1/16, so that's why I've got odd sizes. So there's that, and it sits on our mat. So again, I'm just going to glue this. Now I went around that one just with the pen on the marker on the back. Sometimes I don't really know why I did it for this one, because it's more on the frog that lifts up off the page. This is not lifting off at all, so you wouldn't actually see, but sometimes it just helps when you've got something that's got some dimension. So I'm just putting that, making sure it's got the same amount of black all around it. That's a little bit hard to see on the camera, that there is actually cream, a dark teal blue colour, and then the black. So there's the front of my card. Now I also need my, this piece. So my ribbit, which is what my offset is, I'm calling, goes on the same, the dark teal background. And again, the colour that I've chosen to print my wording on is the same colour that I've used there. Again, I've just used the eyedropper on the Silhouette software and picked up the same blue that was in our background. And again, that is just going to get put onto our mat. And there's basically all of our gluing done, apart from our inside piece and our card base. So I'll just move that off to the side, move that off to the side, and I will start folding the card. So now we will start with the burnishing of our card base. So as I said, we've got it's just a 5.5 inch card. I like to fold that one first just to make sure that my scoring was correct, and then I push it out and burnish it down. So that means I know that my card base is straight. Okay, so now we're just going to burnish and fold these. So we've got our first one. Then we're going to turn it around and come in. And again, just burnishing, making sure our crease lines are, and some of them will need to go the opposite way. This one here is a little bit tricky. Okay, so there it's what it looks like, but that's not how our card looks. So this one actually needs to fold in. So we'll just fold that over. So now you can actually see there's the makings of our bay window. And then this one will need to come up. This one is has a bit of demand on it because it actually holds the card open with the offset piece. So there you go. There's our card base in the bay window. So now what we'll do is we'll actually put this piece, our 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. This actually goes inside the card. So we're just leaving the same amount of cream space all around. So if you do this first, it makes it easier when we have to fold over our end piece. Still don't like that noise. Okay, so it's just going in here as straight as we can. Okay, so there's that. Now on here, we're going to put our pieces. Now remember, we need to keep them in order. Just make sure. So we've got our end piece. Make sure I've got it up the right way. Just have to make sure that my sky is my sky. And I'm just making sure that it's actually going in between the two folds. Now, we have a gap because that's where our cardstock is. So while the picture, when it was in its joined, you know, it's actually all joined. It isn't joined here, which we know, but you can actually see how the pattern flows. So this one then and then we have the edge of our card, which is our last little piece. Okay, so there's our picture that's on the front of our card. And then inside, so now this piece here, so the first section actually gets glued down. Okay, so just going in here, putting some glue on this piece here. Okay, so it gets glued down, and just to help it along, I'm going to run my bone folder along the glue just to make sure that it's stuck down. Okay, so there's our card has just got a little bit smaller, and that helps create, that gives us the two edges of our bay window. So there's the bay window starting to come together. Okay, so now this piece becomes the edge of our card. So we just need to make sure it's lined up the same as this piece of cardstock, which is why we put this down first. This edge goes on the edge of the black layer. Okay, now this is lifted up so that we've got somewhere to put our, when we put our offset on, it's got somewhere to be able to go. So again, we're just gluing this down. Again, making sure that our sky is the right way up, and I'm lining up all of my edges of my black mat so that it looks like it's actually, even though we've got two pieces of mat there now, it doesn't actually look like that. Okay, so there's our card, and that's what it'll look like when we've got it. So our picture is continuing on. Now, inside I have my sentiment. I've got frogs are always happy, they eat whatever bugs them. So it's just going again with, now I haven't got another layer under this one because we need this piece here to be raised up so that this has somewhere to actually sit. If this was had a layer on it, if it had a layer on it here, we wouldn't be able to catch. So that's why this one doesn't have an alternate layer. So we put this on. Now I haven't got any other, whether it's a happy birthday or a, I can write that on if I choose to give it to someone just as a hello card. I'm thinking of you. So I haven't actually put anything about a happy birthday. So again, making sure I'm the right way. So leaving space around the card so that it's somewhat even. So there's my inside sentiment. Okay, now we need to put our ribbit. So we'll put our ribbit, needs to go roughly in the middle. I'm eyeballing it, so I know my card is 5.5. So I've got it lined up on my, that's why I like working with my mat, even though it's a bit grotty at times, because it's got the measurements on it. I can use the measurements to follow the line. So I know that I'm on these little crosses and these little crosses, so I know I'm in the middle. Again, I'm making sure that the black edge and the black edge are all lined up, and that looks pretty much in the middle to me. There we go. So I know that with my, now I'm going to use my pencil very lightly, I know I can't go past this edge here. So on here, I'm going to, and it's about 3/4 of an inch, I think it might be 1/2 inch. So it is actually from the edge, from the cream edge, I wouldn't go past anything further than 1/2 inch, which from this black edge, it is, if I go 3/4 of an inch, I'll be safe. So I'm just going to rub those two pencil marks out, and I might be able to explain it a bit better. Oops, that was clever, not. Oh, I'll put something there, I'm not sure what happened. So this edge here, we can't go past our putting our glue dots or our, I want to draw a line 3/4 of an inch in from this side. So here I'm just going to go 3/4 of an inch. Now on the back it doesn't matter. I'm just going to draw a line. So I know that when this goes here, I can't put my sticky dots any further than that line. So I'm just using some kind of flattish ones, and I'm going to go up to the line. I know that I can't go past that line. And okay, so I've got my ribbit. So I can't go past here because I want this part to actually tuck under. All right, so let's have a look. Take our sticky backing paper off. Okay, again, I'm going to line my card up here, and this is going to go on the black line. So my card in there, and that's pretty much in the middle for me. If you're, you need it to be any, more accurate than that, by all means go and measure. So there we go. So now our card can't go past there because it can't get past that part. So there's our bay window. Okay. And then all we've got left to do now is the front. So on here, now the easiest way to do this is to line your card up with a straight edge. Using this middle piece is where we're going to put either glue or sticky dots. I'm going to use some sticky dots, sticky squares, but I'm going to actually put them on here so that I don't need to measure on this. So I'm going to put it in the middle roughly. So I might just put my pencil there, and I know that I can't go past above. So it won't need many, it's just to hold them up. So put some squares. Probably 6 will do me, I think. Okay. Now you could put the squares on the back or some foam tape, but you would have to measure exactly where the middle of the card was so that you're not going across onto the other pieces or on the joins. I just found this the easiest way to do that. Okay, so let's see where we are. So back to our middle of our card, and this way a bit. And I'm just looking that it's got edge, 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 and edge. So, it's not straight. There we go. So it says "You're unforgettable," and we've got our inside piece that this lifts up. The card goes under, and there's our bay window. So he pops out a little bit now. And then just to add some dimension to the front of the card, I've actually put some foam tape already on the back of my frogs, and I'm going to take off, which is painful because these ones are really sticky. I'm just taking off the backing paper, and I'm just going to add this frog on top of the other one and then put another one on top again, and that'll give my frog some dimension on the front of the card. You don't have to do this. You could just leave it as it is. You could just glue them down in different layers, but I think it adds some really nice dimension to the front of the card. Now this will probably go in a special envelope, which I'm not sure if you've seen my video before where I've created an envelope, created a video that shows how you can make an envelope of any size. I will, oh, that one's not stuck. I will post the link to that so that you can have a look at that video if you haven't seen it. And up the top, it could probably fit. It's just going to, because of these and it's got some dimension, it'd probably be easier. Down the track, we might make a box like envelope as well, that you can put something in, whoops, the size of this card into a box if you wanted to have a bit, if you were giving it to someone rather than posting it. Now this frog is going to sit, sticking every which way. So I'm just going to line up my frog as best I can. So there's one. So he's now got some dimension. You can actually already see that he's just gained some shadow because it's lifted up. And I'll do the same with this one. Just take off my sticky bits. Taking off. You can hear our wind chime outside going, so it must be quite windy outside because I'm actually quite away from it and I can still hear it. It's a beautiful sound. It's actually it's in tune when we were given it as a gift, but it actually, I'm not musically inclined, but I think it's in G, and apparently you can get other wind chimes made by the same company that are in different, and so when they all chime it together, they actually create a tune. So that's what it says on the information that came with it. We've only got the one, so I can't confirm or deny that. But it sounds right because it is actually a beautiful sounding wind chime. There we go. Oops, I think I would have learnt from the last one that these are sticky. So again, oh, don't want that one in there. We're putting our frog on top of the previous one. And again, yeah, there might be a little bit of space where it's not perfectly lined up, but I'm okay with that. And there is our frog on there. You can see he's actually got the 2 new layers of the frog. And again, so it folds flat and it measures 5.5 by 5.5, and that's in it when it's flat, and there it is when it's open in its bay window situation. Your unforgettable ribbit. And then inside, frogs are always happy. They eat whatever bugs them. Ribbit. So I hope you've enjoyed that. The file will be on our group. I might have to just work out what I'm going to do there because that's just fallen down a bit. And yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know if there's something else that you'd like us to make. So there's my 3. I'll just move all my rubbish to the side. So there's the 3 different cards. And there's the one that's in the bay window position, and there it is closed. So we have a feminine, masculine, and it could be, this one could be for a child. It could be for anything you like. It could be another. It doesn't have to be any gender at all. It's just that's sort of the paper to me is looking like that. So again, I started with a piece of paper for the front and cut it from there. So thank you for watching. We will be back again with, we've got some Christmas cards coming up again, some boxes that we're going to make to put some things in, more cards. Stephanie, Tammy and I are trying to come up with different ideas, different solutions to what people have asked for. So thank you very much for watching. Take care and happy crafting, and we'll speak again shortly. Take care and bye for now.